Hello everybody and welcome to the MBC Survivor League. This is going to be the 9th Survivor League in succession here, and Bisu versus ToSky. These are the two players that have advanced past the best of 1 stages, and now we'll be playing in a best of 3 to see who will move on and who will be left behind in this Survivor tournament. The winner will be going to GOM TV's MSL Season 1. So one of these players hoping to be a victor here, but it's just the start of a best of 3. You get absolutely 3 chances to make it through this, and we will be starting on the map Blitz. The countdown has begun, and where are these players going to spawn? Only 2 spots, but who's on the left and who's on the right? It looks like we're going to have Zerg on the right. This is going to be the Zerg player ToSky, and that's going to leave Bisu to spawn at that 1 o'clock position as the Protoss player. So, if you guys don't know, Bisu actually just recently played a PvZ on this same exact map, Blitz. And how did he overcome his Zerg opponent? He went for double Stargate, got lots of Corsairs, even used D-Web defensively, got tons of Reavers inside of his main base, or natural base, and put up a really great defense. Meanwhile, taking out tons of Overlords, going into Reaver drops. It was just a great exhibition of Protoss play. But it was a back and forth game. It wasn't like the Zerg player just got rolled over. Bisu had his challenges that he had to overcome, and so he's going to have to try and do that again as he enters his best of 3 against another Zerg. So I'm not actually sure who ToSky is currently playing for here. I'm going to have to look up our evidence on TLPD. And let's see, who did ToSky play for? Some of you guys may be familiar with the Zerg player, but I am not. Okay, so it looks like he played for Hwasong Oz, and at this time wasn't even considered Hwasong. I think they went by the older name. And, oh, look at this. So ToSky is Calm's older brother. So that's really cool. Calm is a very successful Zerg player, but ToSky, who was born in 1987, March 23rd, so the age of 27. He's actually older than I am, but we're both born in the same year. So the hatchery does go down for the Zerg player, and is going to be taking that middle expansion instead of the natural. And what does this mean? It could mean that the player is going to be going for a really aggressive Hydra bust, because putting that hatchery there allows the drones to quickly mine out that middle mineral line that's kind of blocking that portion of the map where you can easily move your units across. So Bisu's going to have to scout this out where the hatchery is, which he's about to send that scouting probe, and find out the location of his opponent's expansion so he can deal with any aggression. Behind this, though, Bisu decided to go for, well, I guess he already had a probe out there. So Bisu decided to not go for any cannons, get a Nexus first, and then drop down the Forge, because his opponent did not go for a 9 pool. And it looks like Bisu just killed off one of the drones with his probes, the 3rd hatchery that was supposed to go down. And this is going to delay that 3rd hatchery just a little bit longer here. But ToSky was well prepared. He brought his drone over, and this is definitely going to look like that 3-hatch Hydra bust, or, you know, it's definitely going to be super early aggression. Oh, it looks like we have a pause here. Very interesting. And lots of people waving onto the screen, so that's cool. I wonder what the technical difficulties are. But it looks like it looks like Bisu was the one having the issues here. And as I mentioned earlier, Bisu's left side is his lucky booth side, and I'm going to continue to reinforce that, so that way you guys never forget it. And it's especially lucky when he's playing against Zergs, so I hope that helps him out again, as we want to see him do well in this tournament. And let's go ahead and jump forward in this game to where the game is actually resumed here. Let's see, they're still talking about the issues. The rules aren't stupid, so no player is going to take an L. And it looks like we're going to be going back into this game. Everything's figured out. I think the problem was Bisu probably microed too hard on his keyboard, and it could no longer take that many actions at one time. And so they had to give him a new keyboard. Oh, and look at that probe just looking to get down to business, wanting to do its work. So the third hatchery is laid down. What did we have here? We had a late spawning pool with a 12 hatch style build opening for ToSky. He's got the third hatchery now. No gases are taken yet, though. And that's kind of a one weird thing to note. Because if you want to go for any sort of tech, even as simple as hydras, you do have to get that extractor. Hydralisks don't come free, although the gas cost for a hydralisk is super cheap. So you can build a ton of them off of one extractor, and then follow up with the second extractor later on if you're going for this hyper aggressive type build. So Bisu behind this, he's got a cybernetics core coming down, and he could go for Reaver Tech again, or he could go for fast Templar Archives, which is something we didn't get to see in his last PvZ on this map. He decided to go for Reavers because there's such a wide opening towards the natural base, and having Reavers in tangent with cannons is really effective at defending against Hydra busts or any sort of ground aggression that can come from the Zerg opponent. So I do like the option to go for the Reaver Tech, and a second gate's going to follow up here because Bisu's going to need a couple more production facilities to maintain a constant ground army and be able to threat his opponent. So no Stargate yet. We haven't really seen the main base for Bisu, but it looks like he doesn't have that Stargate, and I wonder how long he's going to delay going for Corsairs. And a sunken colony at the third base. I don't know if that's premature. I don't know if ToSky feels like he needs to put that down ahead of time just so he doesn't have to worry about the threat of zealots when they finally do come out. But, usually a good Zerg player doesn't build any ground defenses, like static defenses, unless they absolutely need to, because every drone counts. Still, no gas in that natural base, but there is a gas at the main. And it looks like Lair Tech is going to be underway. And Lair Tech is absolutely nice. You can get that Overlord speed, and you could get to the next tier of units where you can use the Spire with Mutalisk. Although I feel like Mutalisk aggression is definitely off the table at this point, because there's no way ToSky can catch up in gas to make enough mutas to be effective against Bisu, even without Bisu's massive amount of Corsairs that he had in the last game. He doesn't have air dominance. It's all continuing on ground at this point, and an assimilator finally coming down for Bisu inside of his natural. It looks like with this push out with zealots and okay, so the Spire Tech's coming up, but that's probably for Scourge and the Carapace upgrade. Trust me, the mutas aren't going to come. And so the zealots are going to try and work their way up here to pressure, and definitely a mistake. You really can't get your units effectively up that ramp one at a time. And but with these extra zealots here, I guess Zerglings will end up dying eventually here. But there's an opportunity for the zealots to just run around to the left side. If he splits his groups up, he can come in from two different directions here. And there's way too many Zerglings available for ToSky at this point. Bisu's attack right now is not going to be effective. Oh, but here he comes pressuring again. And it looks like he has another small group of zealots that are coming over to reinforce. And it looks like that forge actually blocked anything from being able to run in. And so the cannon's going to have to kill off the forge. That's like killing your mother. If the cannon successfully kills off that forge, he has killed his own mother. So that's kind of a sad thing to watch in the building world. So 4 zealots here, and how many of these Zerglings is it going to take to kill off Bisu zealots? And it looks like they do end up getting cleaned up. The speed upgrade is done right now, but still not nearly enough zealots available, and a morphing Archon. So Templar Archives over Reaver at this point in the game, and I like to see something a little bit different here instead of just Reavers. It seems like Bisu could go for Storm Drops if he does end up getting a Robotic Facility. He has the Dark Templar, and he could go for that Dark Templar play, but still, no Corsairs to clean up the Overlords. And as I said, there were absolutely not going to be mutas in this game. ToSky, with this huge disadvantage of gas at this point, is coming really late with mutas. He got his extractor totally wrong. But he's going to go for mutas anyway, and he's going to try and force the issue. But the thing is, there's a Dragoon ready, there's an Archon out, and Bisu should be able to clean this up pretty easily. So there's not going to be a problem. An additional cannon inside of the main base just to be safe, and Archon is there too. And so no pressure is going to get done with these mutas. The forces are way too small in numbers. So I'm already going to have to say that Bisu has a huge advantage in this game. And things are going heavily in his favor. Something that would have been way more effective is to go for lurkers and stay aggressive with those Hydralisks. But the mutas are trying to poke in here, and an Archon does make its way over, and one swipe is going to be enough to push those Archons away, or push those mutas away. They die so quickly to that Archon attack. That's what I love about watching mutas against Archons. So there's a nice cannon defense here for Bisu. Probably putting down more cannons than he wants, but you got to absolutely feel comfortable, especially if you're going to expand towards that third base in the middle of the map. The other location that you can expand to is down towards the bottom right, and so this is kind of a weird map for Protoss players, where after your third, it's kind of a confusing thing. Where should you take your fourth? Should you try and go for that 12 o'clock island, or should you go for that bottom right? Can you actually defend it while trying to maintain aggression on your opponent here? So Bisu, who's got a huge number of zealots on the ground here, and there's nothing blocking those sunken colonies. They're going to die really quickly, actually, because the melee units of Bisu are within range. And while they do a considerable amount of damage, the zealots are just going to hack away, and there's going to be no more sunken forces available. The mutas can't do enough damage either to stop this from happening. And the only thing that ToSky could do was morph lurkers. Just in time, he's going to have a nice defense here once the lurkers do finish up. But it seems like the zealots are just picking away at the eggs, trying to lower that health anyway. Meanwhile, there's no more mining inside of the natural base, so only a 2-base Zerg right now. Meanwhile, Bisu's going heavily off of 3 bases. He's probed up very nicely, and his macro is just completely in sync with this game right now. So the lurkers are down. They're actually giving off the huge amount of damage. There's no observer in range for Bisu, but he does have a zealot inside of the main base, and a huge reinforcement here with zealots and archons. And Bisu almost looks unamused by this game. Meanwhile, that zealot is just going crazy on the drones. ToSky's not responding to it because he's got too much on his plate right now to deal with the fact that one zealot is killing all his workers inside the main base. Now another run-in with zealots inside of the natural. It looks like drops are available to the Zerg player. He dropped a drone inside of the 12 o'clock to try and take that early 4th expansion. And since there's no shuttle, Bisu's going to have to let it happen. So lurkers are finally running back here. But Bisu could actually focus them down with his Archon and easily kill them off. They finally do burrow up that ramp, trying to do a little bit more damage here. And actually the AoE damage of the Archon was damaging lurkers. So not a good placement for ToSky to attack with his mutas while his lurkers were right directly under them. An additional nexus by Bisu. He's got the economy, so he can constantly expand and reinforce his army at this point. Once you hit that perfect probe number, you can pretty much do anything you want in this game, in this matchup. So DTs are pushing across now. Overlords do have their speed, so they should be able to come over and detect the DTs pretty quickly. But how quickly will ToSky respond to 4 DTs at once, where they can actually kill things off relatively quickly here? And now the Archons and Zealots with it too. The hatchery is gone, so it's just a 3-base Zerg player right now. And the lurkers, they're trying to find out his opponent again. Meanwhile, is there going to be a doom drop from ToSky? Is that what he's going to be going for here? Oh, the lurkers, they're going to die so quickly. It only takes a few slashes from these Dark Templar to clean it up. The observer is there, and all the lurkers do die off. Meanwhile, it looks like there's going to be a drop inside of Bisu's main base. The only thing ToSky could think of is to retaliate with the doom drop inside of the main and to kill off all the production facilities, stop everything else from coming. So the lurkers do come down, 4 lurkers, but there's actually a decent amount of cannons here. And Zealot, and look at that. The High Templar is in position to storm eventually too. But since the mineral line is pretty low and lurkers aren't that efficient of killing off anything larger than cannons, ToSky is at a huge disadvantage here. So it looks like he's going to call GG. Bisu takes game number 1 in the best of 3. This is MBC's 9th MSL. Yes, this is the Survivor League, not the main MSL. And these two players are fighting for qualifications here. So we're going to go into the next game very shortly. Don't be surprised by my stream coming off. I'll be right back.